Atlanta News First starts now with breaking news.
Firefighters working right now to put out a massive apartment fire in College Park. I'm Rick Fulbaum.
I'm Gravier Denza. Atlanta News First reporter Don Shipman has been out there all morning on Godby Road. Don, that fire is still raging behind you.
It really is, and this has been a difficult fire to fight. I want you to take a look because you can see that there are still flames in that upper apartment right there. A short time ago, we heard a loud boom as well, and what I suspect that was a portion of the roof or that third floor actually collapsing in on itself there. Firefighters at one point were kind of going into the building when we first got here. They quickly learned that they had to get out and fight the fire from the outside. This fire broke out right around just before 5 o'clock this morning. This is the Langston apartment complex. We're just off of Godby Road here in College Park, and we're actually just outside the perimeter. I want you to take a look too, because this is a live look from the First Alert chopper right here. Firefighters managed to knock the flames down when they first got here, but shortly after that, they actually called in additional help. That meant they needed more trucks here at the scene. And then when we got here, this was just about an hour ago, one of the things I noticed right away was that they were having difficulty with water pressure. One of the trucks here, they were using the hoses from that truck, and they couldn't even get the water to the building. Then they brought in another truck and a ladder, like they're doing right now, and they started battling the flames from above right there. One of the things I've also noticed, a lot of people who are the tenants here, they've been kind of just milling around, just watching helplessly as they watch their home go up in flames. I talked with one of the tenants just a short time ago. He lives in the other side of the building. He managed to get some of his things out. He woke up to his brother telling him that the place is on fire, we need to get out. He came outside and he saw the flames shooting out of the windows of that upper floor apartment right there. And then quickly after that, firefighters came here on the scene. Another piece of information I want to pass along, as far as injuries go, a number of tenants and their pets being treated for smoke inhalation. We learned that information from Grady. That's something I reported when I first got here at 6 o'clock. Grady representative here on the scene telling me that thankfully they didn't have to rush anyone to the hospital, but here on the scene they did have to treat those patients, those tenants, and even their pets with smoke inhalation. And that's one of the things that I noticed right away when I got here, and I can still smell it. You can smell the smoke in the air, and you can also feel the heat from the flames of this building right here. Now, as far as apartments, how many apartments are in this building right here, that we don't know, but there are a number of tenants here. And I do understand that the American Red Cross is on the way to the scene. They'll be helping out the tenants here who've been displaced, with those key pieces of things that you need just to get by. Usually what happens is they tend to give tenants a voucher for a hotel stay, and then just those immediate needs. If they weren't able to get some of their belongings out, the clothing, the bedding, and stuff like that to help them basically restart. The big question now, though, is how did this fire start? That's going to probably be some time before firefighters can actually figure that out, because obviously they cannot get inside right now because this fire is still going strong. We're live here in College Park. Don Shipman, Atlanta News First.
All right, Don. Thanks for that. Download the free Atlanta News First app to get up-to-the-minute alerts sent straight to your phone. This is the alert that we sent out this morning when we first learned of that fire. You can also go to atlantanewsfirst.com.
And this is, you don't want that anytime, but right here, right before the holidays, how difficult is that? It's a very busy morning for us here on this Friday, December 13th. I'm Gravier Denza.
And I'm Rick Fulbaum. Let's send it over to First Alert meteorologist Ella Dorsey.
Good morning to you. Let's check in on current temperatures, guys. It is very, very cold outside.
We'll keep you up to date on all of these slowdowns, and we'll see you back here for more First Alert weather and traffic soon.
A family is outraged this morning after somebody vandalized the cheerleading room at Cartersville High School. Somebody spray painted racist obscenities on the refrigerator and then ruined uniforms by pouring mustard on them Tuesday night. But families weren't told about this until Thursday. We spoke with a grandmother who has a granddaughter and 3 nieces on the team.
My granddaughter in particular, my nieces in particular, are very upset because, like I said, it wasn't addressed quickly enough. We got to come together. You know, it keeps dividing us. It keeps separating us.
The district says the investigation with the Cartersville Police Department ended early Wednesday afternoon. It says a juvenile was arrested and says the district doesn't tolerate any actions that make our students and staff feel unsafe.
Testimony continues today in the murder trial of an 8-year-old, Amari Hall.
Celeste Owens, who is the girlfriend of Hall's mother, is accused of killing that little girl and then working with the mother to cover it up. Atlanta News First reporter Joshua Skinner is live outside the Gwinnett County Courthouse, and we heard from crime scene investigators as well as detectives on the case, Joshua.
Exactly right, and what we heard was absolutely gruesome. Reporting live from the Gwinnett County Courthouse, Joshua Skinner, Atlanta News First.
Thanks, Joshua. Blame handed out months after a tree trimmer died on the job. A U.S. Labor Department investigation reveals a Marietta-based company could have prevented that deadly injury. An investigator from the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, OSHA, said in part, quote, "Serious Tree Services failed to meet their obligation to protect workers by adhering to industry safety standards, resulting in a preventable tragedy. The incident happened in May. An arborist was electrocuted while trimming branches on a 60-foot tall tree in Ackworth. Investigators say the worker's stabilizing line hit a power line. OSHA issued the company 4 serious violations and also levied fines of up to $29,000. We have reached out to the tree service company for comment, and we're waiting for their response.
Georgia Tech's getting thousands of dollars to study the impact of the biolab fire and that massive chemical plume. The National Science Foundation's giving Tech an $86,000 federal grant. Researchers are going to work to identify every chemical compound that was released into the air while that plume lingered over Rockdale County near Conyers. A lot of people who were impacted by that plume have until the end of the month now to file a claim with BioLab. Many neighbors reported health issues for several weeks after the fire that started in September. BioLab has been taking reimbursement claims online and over the phone for the past couple of months. The last day to file is December 31st.
71 people from Georgia are included in President Biden's massive clemency announced earlier this week. We told you about that announcement yesterday as breaking news on Atlanta News First. The people in Georgia are part of a larger group of more than 1,500 people, and many of the commutations are people who were moved to house arrest during the COVID-19 pandemic. It's 10 after 7, and of course we are staying on top of the breaking news this morning in College Park, where firefighters are working to put out a massive apartment fire right now. We'll have the very latest straight ahead. "7:14 on this Friday morning, and firefighters are hard at work right now in College Park. They are working to put out a massive apartment complex fire.
Our Don Shipman has been out there all morning for us. He's with the First Alert breaking news tracker. Don, you've watched firefighters try to get these flames under control. What's the latest?
Well, I'm getting a better idea of the impact because I just talked with another tenant and I was asking, how many units are in there? She told me that there are 24 units in this building, and the one side of it is basically destroyed. We've been watching as fire has been shooting out of the roof. At one point, we heard a loud boom or bang, what sounded to me like portions of the roof or even that third floor caving in. And this has really been a stubborn fire. They've been dealing with this, with the flames here, I want to say for a good hour now. When the fire first broke out right around 5 o'clock here at the Langston apartment complex on Godby Road, they managed to get the flames knocked down, and then an hour into this, flames reignited and started shooting out of the roof. And this is what they've been doing for the last hour or so, working to battle the blaze from the top. They're using a ladder truck here. Another thing that we're noticing is, and I pointed this out about 30 minutes ago when I was live on the air, there's a firewall that divides this building. You can see it right there. My photographer Joe is focusing in on it right there. But what you're noticing too is we're seeing smoke on the other side of that firewall. So that leads me to believe that this fire could be spreading. Not clear yet, but that is one of the things that firefighters no doubt are concerned about, trying to make sure that this fire doesn't spread to the other side of the building. What I can tell you is that everyone made it out of the building, but Grady Memorial telling us that they've treated a number of tenants and their pets with smoke inhalation. So this is a pretty serious fire. And the thing is, too, and I heard Rick bring this up, and it's worth mentioning again, we're right before the holidays. Can you imagine? I was just chatting with a tenant here, too, and I asked him about that, and he just kind of just stood there. You know, it's hard to comprehend what's going on when you're watching your house go up in flames. And Ella mentioned it's cold out here. It is cold. The Red Cross on the way here to help out these tenants. And as far the big question now, how did this start? It's going to be a while until firefighters can actually get inside to find out how this fire started in the first place. We're live here in College Park. Don Shipman, Atlanta News First.
Yeah, really terrible, Don. Thank you. We do have a breaking traffic first alert right now, too, on 285.
First Alert meteorologist Rodney Harris has more on that.
Yes, Rick and Gavir, so we are near Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport.
Then we've added that first alert Thursday. That's the transition day to much colder weather at the end of next week.
All right, Ella, thanks. The city of Atlanta's got a new campaign to prevent somebody from breaking into your car. Atlanta News First reporter Patrick Quinn spoke with the police chief about the initiative that you should always do, but especially around the holidays and when you go to big events.
Normal day living in Atlanta.
In this Atlanta apartment parking lot. Patrick Quinn, Atlanta News First.
It's now 7:22. We're back in College Park this morning as crews work to put out a huge early morning fire. Rodney.
We also have a first alert for traffic. This is not far away from College Park. We're at 285 West at Riverdale Road. 2 lanes at 285 block near Hartsfield-Jackson because of a crash. More on this on the other side of the break.
Atlanta News First starts now with breaking news.
And the breaking news this morning, firefighters in College Park have been working to put out a massive apartment fire this morning. I'm Rick Fulbaugh.
I'm Gravir Denza. Atlanta News First reporter Don Shipman is live on the scene right now. This is on Godby Road. Don, you've been talking with people who live at this complex. Just terrible.
It really is terrible. And I actually just chatted with Grady, one of the ambulance members here, and he said that he has one woman in an ambulance right now that they're treating with smoke inhalation. She's in there with her cat. I mean, it's just terrible. We're seeing a number of tenants here, a lot of their pets. Grady telling us that they've treated a number of tenants with smoke inhalation and their pets with smoke inhalation. And you can see the fire is still raging. That's the 3rd floor right there, and it has been ablaze for a good 90 minutes right now. This fire first broke out just before 5 o'clock. This is the Langston apartment complex just off of Godby Road. We're just outside the perimeter here in College Park. Firefighters managed to knock the flames down when they first got here, but then shortly after that, they actually called in additional help, more trucks. We got here just before 6 o'clock. We were live on the air. We could see all those fire trucks when we first got here. And from the first alert chopper, you can see how expansive this apartment complex is. The building on fire has 24 units. Right around 6 o'clock, it looked like they had the fire knocked down, and then it reignited with flames shooting into the air. Now, one of the things I noticed in all of this, firefighters were having a difficult time with what appeared to be water pressure. They couldn't get water to the building. And like I mentioned, Grady Ambulance telling us they've treated a number of tenants and pets with smoke inhalation. I talked with one tenant who told me that they woke up to their brother yelling, "The place is on fire, we need to get out of here." He says that when they got outside, they noticed that the other side of the building was already up in flames. And again, 24 units in this building. So you can just imagine how many people lived in the building if there were multiple people in one apartment, for example. The American Red Cross, I'm told, is en route to the scene. And then I also just learned that MARTA is going to be sending a bus here to kind of to help with busing some of the tenants to a safer place, a warmer place. You've been listening to Ella all morning long. It is cold out here this morning. So that's one thing that tenants are dealing with. Firefighters dealing with that as well. As far as what caused this fire, that's likely going to take some time because they can't get inside to actually investigate. So we'll keep you posted on all of this. From what we can tell, no serious injuries, just the smoke inhalation. Guys?
All right, tough story. We'll continue to follow it. Don, great job. Thanks so much for the information. And the Free Atlanta News First app is a great source For instant alerts when there is breaking news, this is where we go to send out information as we get it, so you can know as soon as we do, perhaps about how this fire started. This is an alert that we sent out this morning. And of course, you can also go to our website, atlantanewsfirst.com.
And you may have also received an alert about traffic over by the airport. Big issue there this morning. It's quite busy. I'm Gervier Denzo. We do want to get over to Rodney Harris, who's watching that for us this morning.
Thank you, Gervier. We are on 285 westbound near Riverdale Road.
This weekend, we'll see morning lows in the low 40s, so you don't have to worry about frigid mornings as we head into this weekend.
Ella, thanks very much. At 7:35, more students now qualify to receive money to attend private schools with Georgia's controversial new voucher program.
But Atlanta News First anchor Lana Harris explains that now people on both sides of this issue are upset, Lana, with how the money's being rolled out.
I mean, what a disaster. Somehow almost everybody is upset right now. Lawmakers who supported the Promise Scholarship Act and got it passed under the Gold Dome say this is not what they meant. And people who were already opposed to the vouchers still believe this program is not actually going to benefit students equally. So the Georgia Education Savings Authority was created to oversee this program. It created the eligibility requirements saying that students can get a voucher even if they don't attend a failing school. So for example, if a middle school is on the list, then elementary and high school students in that zone could also apply. The Governor's Office of Student Achievement has also changed its list of the lowest performing schools in the state, saying that the calculations were a bit off for the original list. But a former teacher who is on the Georgia Association of Educators says that is not the problem.
When you have this, it is more than just an educational story, it's an economic story. And so when you look at the private schools versus the lowest 25% of public schools, we literally have 200 plus miles of Georgia where people don't even have a private school they could go to.
The State House Education Committee chairman says he will prepare a bill to make changes to the eligibility list if the authority does not make these changes itself. Gervier?
Thanks, Lana. The U.S. Alcohol and Firearms Bureau is warning that there's been a major increase in 3D printed ghost guns. An assistant special agent in charge says it's a problem for law enforcement because it's difficult to track down where these guns come from.
So they're dangerous because it's a fully functioning firearm. Where it becomes a challenge for law enforcement are when these firearms are being recovered at crime scenes, they're almost untraceable because there are no serial numbers or no required markings on there.
Police in New York recovered a 3D printed gun on the suspect who is accused of killing the United Healthcare CEO.
Tomorrow marks 12 years since the tragedy at Sandy Hook Elementary School in Connecticut. A 2012 gunman in the year 2012 killed 6 adults and 20 students at the Newtown, Connecticut school after killing his mother earlier that day and then killing himself afterwards. Several lawmakers joined survivors of the day at Capitol Hill yesterday to demand new gun safety laws.
There is no way that we are surrendering to gun violence in this country, and we know not only in our hearts and our minds, but from evidence, real hard evidence, that these measures work. They save lives.
Lawmakers passed the Safer Communities Act 10 years later in 2022. It was the most comprehensive gun legislation passed in 2 decades. The Barrow County Sheriff is working to get school resource officers in all Barrow County schools after the deadly mass shooting that killed 2 students and 2 teachers and injured 9 others there. State and local officials praised the school resource officers at Appalachia High School for stopping the accused shooter before more people were hurt or killed. They say that alert buttons the teachers were wearing allowed first responders to arrive quickly.
It's now 7:39. MARTA wants your input as it seeks to build a smarter and more efficient bus system. The transit agency held its first virtual meeting last night to get a little feedback about the next-gen bus network. The plan would increase frequent service stops from 5 to 18. That change would give about 95,000 more people access to buses every 15 minutes. If you were not able to take part in that virtual meeting last night, there's another one scheduled for next Tuesday. That'll be at noon. The next-gen bus network plan still needs approval from MARTA's board. The goal is to launch these changes by the end of next year. If you want more information, we've put that on the Atlanta News First app.
A Georgia State Trooper helps with a surprise roadside delivery along I-85. We spoke with Trooper Brett Rutledge, who was flagged down on his way to work.
At a certain point, the baby was coming and there wasn't anything we could do. The EMS hadn't arrived yet, and so I put some gloves on and tried to remember my medic training from the Army as best I could. And luckily there weren't any complications or anything with the delivery, and the baby came out very easily. So it was a little bit of a miracle in that sense.
All on a day's work, right? He was at the right place at the right time, Trooper Rutledge. He says the family was taken to the hospital for more care after he helped deliver the baby boy. So congratulations to that family and also to Trooper Rutledge.
I don't know if Trooper Rutledge is a dad or if he has children of his own, but whatever, that's pretty good.
Good
right?
for him. That's great.
Good. It is now 20 minutes until 8 o'clock. We've got to shift gears a little bit. We've got a breaking traffic first alert, which is impacting people over by the airport.
It is indeed. We're still seeing a pretty big delay on 285 westbound at Riverdale Road near Hartsville-Jackson, as you mentioned. Also, new alert in DeKalb County, 285 westbound at Peachtree Industrial Boulevard. There's a crash that will impact you coming out of Doraville, Tucker, Chamblee, headed westbound towards Sandy Springs.
Also, we're staying on top of the breaking news in College Park this morning. These are live pictures as firefighters continue to work on this massive apartment fire. Right now, it's been really difficult for them to put these flames out and get it under control. We'll have a live report coming up next. (7:44) on this Friday morning, and we are following the breaking news this morning in South Fulton County, where firefighters are working to put out a massive apartment fire in College Park.
So we want to go back out there right now. We're hearing from firefighters on the scene.
Units of the building are actually engaged in fire. The rest of the units are just doing a little bit of smoke and water damage. And also there are no injuries, neither firefighters nor civilians at this time.
I noticed that there was some difficulty with water pressure, it looked like anyway, from my vantage point. Was there an issue there?
Well, just think about this. We've got several units on the scene. All of them are requesting water and trying to pull from the same water source. So whenever we have a scene like this, water pressure is always somewhat of a challenge because we're demanding so much water.
Fire, or at least would you describe it as a relatively large fire? We've seen those flames really shooting up for quite some time. Yeah,
this is pretty much a very large fire. However, the crews on the scene have it under control. They did a wonderful job of adjusting. Initially, we did an interior attack, which we had to retreat the crews because of the conditions, and we went to what's called a defensive mode. So those were the flames that you saw initially.
Then I heard, too, that you called in additional aid. Can you explain what that means?
Yes, so we brought in additional resources from other agencies. We have the American Red Cross on the scene, as well as we have MARTA giving us support for all of the folks that were displaced.
Can you also walk us through when this was called in, who called it in, and where it started in the apartment? Right
now it's under investigation, so we don't have those details available, but I do know that this call came in the wee hours of the morning, somewhere around 5:15, 5:20 a.m. this morning.
And it started in one unit and spread to the other 3 top units?
Right, again, we don't have those details. Once everything clears out and we get the fire marshal on the scene, we'll have the details into how it started and where it started.
You mentioned no major injuries, but there was smoke inhalation. I noticed that some tenants were being treated for smoke inhalation, even their pets, correct?
Yes, we did have some tenants that were treated and given oxygen, but there was no major illnesses or injuries to those tenants.
How hard was it to bring this fire under control? We saw some firefighters coming out kind of staggering at times.
It was difficult. It's very exhausting anytime we have these cold conditions and we have a what we call a multi-family fire. It's exhausting for the firefighters because initially, again, they want to go in and do what's called an interior attack, and sometimes that can be exhausting.
And you mentioned MARTA. Explain how that's being organized and what's happening, where the tenant's going to be going.
Right, sure. So right now we have all of the displaced families. They're on a MARTA bus staying warm out of the elements. When the American Red Cross gets all of their resources here, we're going to develop a plan to take care of those tenants that were displaced.
Do you know about how many tenants it is?
It was roughly 16 to 20 tenants displaced from this fire.
I know it's South Fulton and Atlanta, but any other fire jurisdictions here to help out with your mutual aid?
Yes, we have South Fulton, we have the city of East Point, as well as we have, I think we have some Union City units on the scene.
And you said it came in at 5:15. Did a civilian call it in, or how were you all notified?
Well, at this point, we don't have those details. Once this is all done, we'll go back and do some research and have all those details together. But at this time, I don't have the details on how it was called in.
And do you know smoke detectors, fire alarms in the building?
At this time, again, once we get everything cleared out, we'll be able to go in and do a thorough investigation on that.
Name and title and spelling, if you don't mind.
Yes, Ron Taylor, Division Chief of City of College Park.
All right, guys, I'm going to pass it back to you guys, but you just heard the division chief right there just talking a little bit about what happened here this morning. And I can kind of reiterate as we watch, and you can see the flames still shooting out of the top of the building. He's saying that there were no major injuries. That's the key thing to bring up right now. Again, no major injuries, but I can tell you that a number of tenants, even their pets, being treated for smoke inhalation right here on the scene by Grady. One thing I want to show you that I think is kind of interesting. One of the things that they're doing here, they're dousing the flames over here where you see the majority of the damage. But one thing I've been noticing too is that they've been putting a lot of water on the center of the building, and that's basically to keep that part of the building fire free. They're trying to make sure that the fire doesn't spread to the other side of the building. You heard me earlier talking about that firewall that is there. That's really important. So that's one of the things that they're doing right there. I asked him about water pressure issues, and he explained it this way. He said that the issue with the water pressure is the fact that they had so many firefighters here with different trucks hooked into the main lines there, and when you have so many there, they're going to have an issue with water pressure. So that's one of the things they've been dealing with. This has been a challenging fire. Like he mentioned, it started right around 5 o'clock this morning. They're still here, still working to put the fire out. Guys, back to you.
Yeah, it looks like they're getting a little bit of a handle on it, Don. The flames are not as intense as they were when, as we've been talking with you throughout the morning, but certainly challenging for them. What, 16 or 20?
16 to 20 people
impacted.
Displaced as a result of this. They're now waiting in a bus. Try to keep them warm while the Red Cross gets itself together and arrives at the scene. Of course, they're so good about coming in emergency situations like this and helping people with temporary emergency shelter. So we'll keep an eye on that. Don, thanks very much. And of course, right now it is 7:50. We got to talk about the traffic, which is a big story on this Friday morning.
It is. Rodney Harris has this breaking traffic first alert. Rodney, this is impacting people in DeKalb County.
It is indeed, Kavir. This is brand new, Kavir, in Rick. So 285 westbound at Peachtree Industrial Boulevard.
We'll be right back after this.
Ella, thanks very much. Yes, we will have more coming up in just a moment, including more on this fire in College Park, where firefighters have been on the scene since about 5 o'clock this morning trying to put out these flames. We'll check back in with Don Shipman live at the scene.